Get it started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Black Men Win, Devontae's World Black Men Win series. I am your host, of course, Devontae, and we have a great black man, black man on our interview this week, and we just literally like hit it. It was literally like a mutual friend kind of connected us. And I'm excited to introduce Mr. Tim Gray to the Black Men Win series. How are you, sir?
Pretty good, man. I'm glad to be on, man, and I'm very thankful for you having me.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. So before we actually get into the interview, actually one of the questions is basically gassing yourself, telling the people at home who you are, what you do, and just giving the people just a synopsis of who you are. So let the people at home know who Mr. Gray is.
Yeah, my name is Timothy Gray. I'm 22 years old. I'm a public speaker, so I've traveled around speaking to people. I like to speak into the lives of people, encourage people, motivate people, all in one. I like to be a part of the community as well. So I do different things in the community as well. Outreach, helping people participating in community events. Exactly. So basically being a value to our community in the best way that I can be.
Cool, man. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So I was born in Muskegon, but then I moved to Grand Rapids at about 6 years old, and I've been here ever since. So that's where I've been growing up at.
Good old GR, man. So let's just jump right into it. Let's just jump right into the series. So I got a series of questions for you. So our second question is basically, as Black men, especially during this time right now, with everything that has been going on with Grand Rapids specifically, and then just on a nationwide scale of, so many protests happening, police brutality, that a lot of our Black brothers and sisters are, trying to create noise about. Do you believe that as a Black man that we support each other enough spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically, and financially? Do you believe that we support each other enough as Black men, just not as, not saying specifically as a whole community, but specifically as Black men? Do you think we support each other enough in those realms?
For everything as a whole, my answer is no. Okay. And I'm gonna kind of break that up.
Absolutely.
As far as spiritually, so I grew up in the Black church.
Right.
I associate church with spiritually. Spiritually, I see a lot of competition instead of a lot of supporting everyone as a whole. Man, I would, be in church, and I would see that certain churches wouldn't fellowship with other Black churches because of their beliefs.
Yeah.
And then it turned into like a competition. Well, we have this many members. Well, we don't believe this. We don't believe that. And It creates more of a division than a support system, And also, as far as emotionally, I see that as another weak point, because in the Black community, for years it's been frowned upon to look at, to see another Black man crying,
Talk about it, King. Talk about it.
In the Black community, we don't really show our emotions because we're afraid that that's going to be a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
So what happens is that we throw it up out the window as a whole, and our emotions don't get brought to the forefront. So what happens is we have a generation of Black males who don't know how to show our emotions, let alone support one another emotionally.
Amen. Yep.
And you probably can attest to that too. Even going to school, you don't want to show any type of weakness, in front of your friends, in front of other people, your peers, because we've been taught that showing emotion relates to weakness, and that's been a stigma for years. And as far as let's go physically, mentally, that's another thing I don't think we support, because I want to explain this one really well. In the Black community, what I've noticed is that when someone is doing something great, or if someone is trying to make it out, they get talked about from our own race. You know, if you grow up in the hood, drug dealers are respected. You know, people slanging dope are respected. As soon as you mention that you want to go to college, you get looked at crazy. Like, you know, it gets looked down upon as soon as you try to do something positive. You know, in the Black community, because it's been a stigma where we associate positive behavior with non-colored people and we associate negative behavior with colored people.
Right.
Why is it that when a Black person graduates, it's almost a surprise, but when a Caucasian does it, it's the norm?
Yeah,
you know,
that's a big one. That to me is very big. I agree with you 100% on that, on all of those. I think the biggest one for me when I created the question was the emotional piece, and I think you touched on that a lot.
Definitely.
I'm very unconventional in how I do things. So my mom always taught me, listen, you know, you cry if you need to. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Like you let that out if you need to, because she's seen how, years of holding so much pain in as a Black man.
Right.
From just seeing her uncles, our cousins, and everything that we have gone through. We don't sit here and we don't attribute heartbreak and in any form, whether that be a relationship, whether you didn't get into school, whether you didn't get that job, you're hurt.
Right.
So we're always looked upon as, okay, if we're hurting, we have to find a different cope instead of crying, right?
Yep.
We have to find a different substance instead of sitting here expressing our emotions. And for me, it was like, hold up, pause. I said, every time I express my emotions in any type of way that was positive for me, whether that been crying, whether that may have just been letting my emotions out through various, platforms, it's always been a help, right? Praying and making sure that my mental is good, always staying prayed up and faithed up.
Yeah.
I think there's a generation that is starting to change that narrative, but I also think that we still have a long way to go in debunking all of that, right? We still have a lot of generational curses, and that goes into question number 3. Like, we still have a lot of generational trauma that we still have to sit through as a Black community, and particularly as Black men. So going into question, well, did you want to finish question 2 real quick?
Yeah, and just to add on to what I was saying, I think that as a Black culture, I think that it's important that we start to embrace positive Black people doing positive things.
Absolutely.
And instead of it being looked upon as, oh, you think you're better because you're trying to because you're trying to start a business, because you're trying to create a path for yourself. Instead, we need to go behind them and start making positive things the new norm instead of negative.
Amen. I agree with that so much. I think it's because a lot of us want to be leaders. Right?
Yep.
I think a lot of people need to watch the Last Dance documentary.
Yeah.
And seriously, I think a lot of people need to watch that just to understand the concept of that team, right? Because during the time of the 80s and the 90s, when you had the Lakers, the Celtics, even the Bulls, or even just teams in period, you had that star player in Michael or Bird or Magic, but they needed those role players around them. And don't get me wrong, those role players were dope, but they needed those role players around them so they could become a great unit and a great team. And in just watching The Last Dance, like, yeah, sometimes you have to sit here and shift, but you don't stop, right? And I think we have to understand, like, listen, everybody doesn't have the capacity to lead, right? Everybody doesn't have the capacity to lead, but you have the capacity to help in your own way to a cause or to something, right? If you see a fellow Black man or Black woman sitting here owning their own business, and you have these skills that can contribute to that business, why not sit here and do that instead of you being jealous or you sitting here being envious of that. How about you just sit here, come up with a plan, use your skills to enhance. That's why I'm all about collaboration, right? I'm all about collaboration, trying to see, because I can't do everything, right? I'm like, I have all the stuff, but I can't do everything. I don't do photography very well. I don't do videography very well. I don't make flyers very well. So I'm like, okay, I need people who are my skin color, who are black men who do these very well. And by God, I found those. So it's like, they know their lane, I know my lane, but I don't think we understand that our lanes can come together, right?
Right.
I think that's what we need to get out of again, is that our lanes can come together. We can actually sit here and merge again, because I think there was a time where we were merging, and it just stopped for some reason, and now it's coming again, this second wave of like, okay, I think our generation and some of the generation before us is sitting here like, okay, in order for the Black community now in this time, for us to sit here and move forward, we have to collaborate, but we have to understand our culture. We have to understand our traumas. We have to understand everything about what we've gone through over the last 400 years, particularly over the last 60 years in our country, particularly post Martin Luther King, and then understand what we need to do to move forward. So I guess that goes into question number 3 of the hindrance of our curses, generational curses, and how do we realize our true potential as Black men, right? Because we have so many generational curses that you hinted on in the second question, emotionally not crying, and we've been told not to sit here and be softies, right? In a way, not be softies, or you got to be hard, you got to be, you can't sit here and cry. Do we continue to let that hinder us from experiencing and realizing our true potential as men?
I am very, very in the belief in the word insanity, which is doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
So what I'm pretty much saying is that these generational curses are only producing the same results.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. At some point, and I believe that we have the generation that can really break some of these generational curses, because an important word in that question is, do we continue to let it? So that means that we have some control.
Yes.
I can control my actions. Now, let's say someone grew up in the home where their father was a drug addict or an alcoholic. That doesn't mean that I have to do that just because my parent did that.
Right.
In fact, that doesn't mean today I can't go to college because my parents didn't go to college.
Right.
At some point, sometimes we have to take responsibility for ourselves, and we have to go out and get what we want. And we have to break these generational curses.
I like that.
And I believe that our generation can do that as a whole. And I think what we need to do is, when one person starts to break it, then they can start a trend and give younger people someone to look up to.
How do you answer somebody who will rebuttal you, in a sense, because a lot of people will attribute that with fear, right? So a counter argument to that would be, okay, well, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can, you know what I'm saying? Like, they see you and me in our respective fields. You motivational speaking, going into the community, really speaking, me being an entrepreneur and podcasting, in Grand Rapids, where it is, as I've said multiple times, it is the epitome of our America, where we see the majority and the minority, right? And you see Black men like you, me, and so many others who are dominating so many realms around this space. And then young Black people like the generation after us will see that and be like, damn, that's dope. But fear, right? Because as a Black community, what we don't admit is that we sit here and we even put our own people down. Right? We even put our own people down. So to the point of you saying, like, you know, we can break those generational curses and go to college. Somebody can counter argue that and say, well, my mama said I can't do it because she said I can't do it. Right. And some people, or my dad said this, or my parents said this, or my cousin or my family said this, and they and people believe that. So to me, how do we break the fear of that? How do we get up out of that fear? Like I want people to understand that people are going to tell you that you're not going to do it.
Definitely.
I want you to understand that that's fear for them because they weren't able to take that step. They were scared to take that step. So what do you think we should, or how do you think we should go about that when it comes to the fear and putting each other down in the Black community because of the fear of worrying about, you know, your family, you know, maybe failing and expecting you to fail, or, you know what I'm saying? How do we kind of attribute that?
I have two things I want to hit on to answer that question. I think that's a very important question. And I want to first start off by saying that anything or anyone that does something significant, you're going to have obstacles. Okay. Gotcha. You're going to have people that are against you or people that talk about you. Unfortunately, that's just the culture that we live in. Yeah. You can't 100% get rid of the naysayers, especially when you're trying to make a difference. But I think, first of all, to get past the fear, you have to know what is your purpose, okay? You really have to know what is your purpose in life, okay? And I know everybody's not a Christian, but one big thing that helped me was praying to God and really seeking God to find out, God, why am I here on earth?
Amen. Same.
I don't just want to be on this earth and just breathe and have no purpose and die and just say I was here, okay? So first you have to know what is your purpose in life. Secondly, to deal with the topic of fear, and I think it was important when you elaborated on collaborating and networking. I think it's important once you find out your purpose in life, collaborate or model or try to find someone who is making a difference. And try to talk to them too, because you, me, anyone who's ever started something, we all started off with fear. Fear of the unknown. Yeah. Fear, you know, fear of what was going to happen. You don't know what you don't know. Yeah. But until you start, that's the biggest thing, is making that leap of faith. Yeah. And that's another big word, that this is all faith.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, I don't know where I'm going to be 10 years from now. But what I do know is if I don't start, I'm going to be in the same place that I was because I never took that leap of faith. Boom. So the other thing I think too is that you have to surround yourself with like-minded people. Amen. Okay. So I know that there's a lot of naysayers about me, but I surround myself with people who support me, people who keep pushing me. And that may not even be your own family. You know, you may have to find people who are not your own blood to support you. And I say that all the time. Like, sometimes it's not, your family might be the most negative Nancy naysayers that you have in the back. They might be the ones that's literally keeping you down. You know, they may be smiling in your face like, oh my God, you're doing so good. But as soon as you turn that back, they are jealous, they are envious, they don't like what you're doing because they're stuck too in that same place. And it's like, you have to sit there and be like, yo, okay, I love y'all, but you know what? I have to love y'all from a distance, you know? And at that point, I can't have that negativity in my space. I can't have that in my space. And I think once we come to a place of that, once we come to a place of, okay, we understand our purpose, we understand ourselves as not only as Black people or Black men or Black women, but as a human being. Yes, correct. Right? Because as a human being, once you understand that, everything I feel like will come. You know, everything will come so easy. Like you said, we both started. If we didn't start, right. We would definitely be in the same position.
I tell everybody, I'm like, if I didn't start in 2016, if I didn't start this in 2016, I don't know where I would be. I don't think I would have had my master's. I don't think I would have had all of this. I don't think I would have branched out so internationally like I am. I don't know where this would have went.
Definitely.
I don't know where I would have went. I was stuck. So I'm like, I had to literally get to the nitty gritty of, okay, what am I doing here?
Yep.
You know, what am I doing here? What is my purpose? What do I need to do? And sometimes you're not going to understand it off rip, but you just asking the question of what's my purpose, that's the first step.
Yep.
That's the first step. And I think you hit it. I think you hit it right on the nose, man.
And also, I just always try to encourage people too. You know, you look at Martin Luther King, Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. You look at all these people who have had significant impact on the world. Mm-hmm. They've done significant, and just because of one step that they took. But what people don't even realize is that Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all these people, Rosa Parks, all these people, they left legacies.
Yeah.
For us today.
Yeah.
You don't know who in this world is depending on you living out your purpose and starting your step. Because I know that some people might not agree with this, but we might not be where we are today if Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and different ones didn't fulfill their purpose in life.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that 1,000%.
And so what I'm trying to say is that if you, who's ever watching, if you don't fulfill your purpose in life, you don't know who in the generation behind you might not make it because you didn't do what you were, live out your purpose in life.
Amen. And when you understand that, then you understand that it's bigger than yourself.
Right.
You understand that it's bigger than you. And I got to that point a long time ago, like, man, this is way bigger than me. When you start to build and build and build, and it goes past you, and people start to become your mentees, and people are starting to look at you, and you are starting to now mentor people, if that means from even afar or even up close. You're like, oh, snap. Oh, people actually dig me.
Definitely.
You know, and it's like, whoa, we're creating new pathways for individuals, whether you are in corporate America, whether you are in entrepreneurship, whether it don't matter, doctor, lawyer, mechanic, it don't matter. Like every time we take a step to do something that we want to do, it is another door that is opening, or another mountain that is being climbed or built, or another path that is being built in order for the next generation to now break down those walls. And that's how I look at it. So that goes into question number 4. What can we do better as Black men individually to help improve our overall community for the next generation?
I kind of touched on that just a little bit. So first of all, I still believe individually, I have to know my self-worth, I have to know my place in life, and I have to know what my purpose is in life. Because if you don't know those 3 things, you'll never know where do I fit in.
Absolutely.
You know, you got to know who you are, and you got to know your value and your self-worth.
Absolutely.
To be able to help each other. Okay, so individually, once you know your self-worth, once you know who I am, what my purpose in life, now how can I bring value, from my purpose that I'm living now? How can I bring value to my community now, to my society? And then the other thing too is that when you become successful, as an individual, it doesn't stop there. I believe that when you become successful, you are supposed to go back to your hood, to wherever you came from. You're supposed to mentor and be an example for ones behind you.
Absolutely.
You know, I see a lot of people who become successful, famous, make it, but they never go back and try to help the next person come along.
Why do you think
I believe that is a huge thing, okay? Because when someone makes it out, that doesn't mean, okay, I'm done with them. I'm never coming back. You are an example. You are leading a path. And I believe that we are supposed to go back and leave an inheritance for the person behind us.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think? Because I think that's a big thing. And that's been a topic of conversation ever since, the unfortunate deaths of Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd. I think that has been the topic of conversation for a long time. But I think because of these unfortunate deaths in our community, it's now being hit on for real, for real. Why do you think the generation kind of before us didn't do that? Right? Why do you think they didn't really come back to the community to build it? Because a lot of our OGs, right? A lot of our grandparents, parents, when I think about going back to Detroit or going back to Florida or anything like that, I was born in Orlando, raised in Detroit. So for me, it's like, okay, it's so many dope Black individuals that have come from both spaces.
Right.
Why hasn't it been more of you integrating into the community, right? Like, I get starting foundations and I get starting organizations and nonprofits, but I'm thinking to myself, like, you have millions of dollars. You made it out of this space. Why are you not why are you not giving back to the people that really have supported you when you were down?
Definitely.
And then when you got out, you forgot. Like
right.
that. What? Give me your opinion on that. Why do you think that is?
I think for one, okay, for someone who is grinding to make it out of a certain area or a certain hood or a certain place, they associate that place with negativity. Okay.
Yep.
So pretty much what I'm saying is that, example, if I'm grinding to make it out a certain hood and I finally make it out, my first thought is not going to be to go back because I just worked so hard to make it out of there.
Make it out, period.
Okay. So then when you get out and you see the rest of this big, beautiful world, you like, man, I was missing out on this whole time.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do back with this, wherever I came from and whatnot. Yeah. And then obviously I've never been to that magnitude as far as, these people, as far as that are famous and that are making it out, going to all these different countries and whatnot. Right. But I feel like when you see the rest of the world, they kind of get into a new world.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's like people can live two different worlds. If I go from being here, barely having nothing and barely seeing things, and then I go all the way across the world, and now I got the whole world in front of me, my last thought is probably going to be to give back or go back. I think that people would rather support their communities that they came from a distance instead of go back and physically be present.
Yeah.
That's just how that's just what I think. But there's probably a list of reasons too as well.
I think that's a good one though. I think because when you enter into a new world, it's like once you make it, it doesn't matter what profession you're in. Once you have made it, it's like you don't want to, like you said, it's like you don't want to go back to that negativity. And I think all of us at one point or another, if you lived in, the hood or anything, I think I even had that, process for a minute. But then it had to change because I'm like, okay, this is bigger than me. Like, yeah, right. I travel the world. Yeah, it's going to be here for me.
Yep.
But I'm like, the hood that I've come from, the hoods that I know, I'm like, there's not a lot of people trying to give back. So it's like, okay, I want to make it to a point where I can do both. I can sit here and travel, still work, but also be present in my community, right? Be present there as much as possible. So I know for me right now, that's the part where I'm like, okay, how can I be more present in my community? How can I be more involved in my community that I grew up in? It's like for me here, honestly, it's hard to be a part of this community here, or just trying to basically integrate when I know that back home, I'm like, I need to be there, kind of. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I need to be there. I kind of need to get up in there because there's already people up in here that's doing that already.
Yep.
Really, people back home that's doing that, and to know that I have that we have so many people that are rich, famous, wealthy, that are doing the bare minimum, and then
Right.
I have people who don't really have it together that's doing more than the bare minimum. Yeah,
right.
We have to kind of switch that narrative.
And I also would like to add too is that it's a big thing where, you know, people, they give money back, but I think sometimes it's more important for people to physically be able to see you.
Yeah.
And physically be reachable.
Yep.
You know, that sometimes goes a longer way than just giving back money.
Yeah.
You know, because I know a lot of people that give back money to their communities, to their hoods and whatnot. But imagine you going to visit, you know, a school in your hood, you know, a high school in your hood, and then talking to these people, telling them what it took for you to get out. That could go a much longer way than just throwing them some cash and then never being present.
Never being present. Like, I just think throwing cat. Honestly, sometimes when they say I done gave this amount to my community, okay, first of all, where's that money going? That's the first question. I'm like, if you have given so much money to this community, why are the houses still looking like that? Why is the house still outside? Why is this liquor store still looking like this? Why is that church still got a broken pipe?
Right.
I'm just trying to understand where the hell you getting all this money and you giving it. Where is it going? And so I'm just like, okay, we definitely have we've definitely made a lot of progress, and I don't want to make it seem like we haven't, because we definitely made a lot of progress. I just think the job is never not done, right?
Right.
And I think we need, and like to your point earlier, we are the generation, I feel as though, to make those changes. It's gonna be hard.
Definitely.
You know, it's gonna be hard because we have so many of our OGs and old heads who are just stuck in they ways, you know what I'm saying? And that's cool. But in order for us to change, we have to be able to shift. We have to be able to shift our mindsets, even a little bit, saying, okay, we got to kind of do it this way, because doing it this way, yeah, it's been getting us nowhere. You know, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think also our generation, like you said, we really have probably the best opportunity out of any generation.
Yeah.
We live in a generation where you don't necessarily have to be rich worldwide or famous worldwide to make an impact.
Yep.
We all have a platform.
Yep.
You know, everybody's on social media has a platform. You can have a platform in your community.
Yep.
So if they see you doing something positive, you don't got to be that to the magnitude of LeBron James, or you don't have to be the magnitude of Michael Jordan.
Yep.
But just you even being, you know, well known and respected in your community, you can, you know, start making impact and changes wherever you are.
Big facts. I agree with that wholeheartedly. So the last question, brother, is what does black men win mean to you? When you hear that phrase, black men win, what does that mean to you?
I think black men win, to me personally, I think that means us, black men, coming together for a common goal, building each other up, and also letting each black man do their own purpose and be their individual person. So me and you, we may not do the same thing.
Yep.
You know, I got my boy Elbert. He's a photographer and videography, like you said. I know other black men that's into athletics, that's into this. But whatever they are doing, we all should come together and help build each other up, okay?
Yes.
And also, I believe that black men winning really means is that we start supporting each other.
Yes.
Support your black-owned businesses. Support your black athletes. Support your black this, your black that, okay? because until we start supporting each other, we will always be in competition.
Man.
I don't think that we can win alone. It says Black men winning.
Yeah.
That's together.
Yeah.
That's not individually. Just because one Black person makes it, that doesn't help the whole community. I think Black men winning means that we have to start winning as a whole race of Black men, as a whole race of people, you know? And so I think Black men winning looks like us starting to support each other, standing up, knowing who we are, and believing in each other.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the coffin, bro. That was it. That was it. Like every time I ask that question, I think I get the same all around answer, and I appreciate that, because that's literally what this this hashtag is, and it's more than a hashtag. It's more to me.
Right.
Like when I started Black Men Win, when I started this blog series, I really wanted to showcase our Black men. Black men, period. It didn't matter if you were a mechanic, your local barber, to the person who just went to college, to the person who's not even going to college, who's literally doing trade school. I don't care. I wanted to showcase different types of Black men. I don't care if you're gay, straight, transgender. I don't care. We have to sit here and be able to break this competition, as you said, for real, in a sense, and support one another, right? Really support one another in everything that we're doing, and stop making so much of a competition. So, brother, I appreciate you for coming on.
Hey, I appreciate you having me.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. Let the people know where they can find you and everything.
Oh, so if you want to go search me on Instagram, Timmy Gray 24, Tim Gray on Facebook. Then I got my own Facebook page, Timothy Gray. This quarantine's over, so I'm gonna start getting out again and going to different events and speaking. So yeah, just search me and just connect with me.
Got you. When's your next speaking engagement?
Probably in about 2 weeks. So I'll be speaking at church. Yep.
Sweet, man. Well, we appreciate you for coming on, brother. And this has been another Black Men Win series with your boy Devontae and the homie Tim Gray in the building. We appreciate it.
And also, while we on that note, Saturday in Grand Rapids at 12 noon, I will be hosting a prayer walk. So.
Oh wow. Dope. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Sweet. We said 12 noon, right?
Yep. Rosa Park Circle.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna try to be out there.
Yes, sir.
So I appreciate you for coming on, brother. Thank you so much, and we are outie.